Hey guys, welcome to the Wealthy Legacy Journey. Here with Nathan, myself, and Kendall.
Hey, what's up,
So,
everybody? So today, we're actually talking about. I'm really excited about this. I talked about it last week. Um, last week I mentioned that we're going to be talking about the 10 buddy process method. That's not actually going to be today. So I'm sorry.
oh
That is
man,
that's
I
in
was
2 weeks from
excited.
now.
I
It's
was
a three
waiting
part.
all week for
I
that.
know it's a three-parter though. So today I'm going to be talking about defining your offer bullseye, and then in 2 weeks is going to be the 10 buddy method, which kind of goes along with that. And then finally we have the value triangle framework. And that's what I'm talking about in 4 weeks. Because as I said last week, Nathan and I are going to kind of be flipping and flopping, every other week on topics. But um, anyways, it was really cool though because it was last week. Nathan and I met up with two guys, and inside of real estate, we define, this is kind of a term we've coined as like deal silos, but we define each like real estate type that we are investing in as a deal silo. So we have this deal silo, and this deal silo, and this deal silo, and they're all segregated. They're all different. We handle them different. We handle the money different. We handle the percentages different. Everything just it works different, right? So when we were talking with these two guys a week ago, though, the problem is we brought up multiple different deal silos, and they ended up getting really confused. And they thought that we were confused and didn't really have a good idea of like what we wanted to do with our business. And we walked away like a little bit, I think, disappointed that we didn't communicate that well. And I kind of walked away from that meeting going like, okay, whenever I talk to somebody, though I get excited about all of my ideas and they all seem like individual ideas in my brain, if I communicate all those ideas at one time, it's going to seem like one just kind of jumbled mess to somebody. They're not going to be able to like break it up in their mind the same way I have it broken up in my mind. And so then 2 days ago, we had our first commission finance flipper group.
Right, yeah.
And we had 7 realtors in the room, and that was really exciting. And we're launching one deal silo in this new partnership that we're doing. And this is really how we see ourselves getting, from 0 to 5 figures, 6 figures, into 7 figures. We think that this is going to be able to push us to that 8 figure mark. We think that the commission finance flipper is actually a really important part of our growth. But when we talked with these guys, instead of doing what we did last week where we confused everybody, we just talked about the one deal silo, right? And I think that was really impactful. I mean, how do you feel like, Nathan, maybe you can like elaborate on that, the way that those two guys walked away from a meeting last week when we talked about all the things versus how these realtors walked away when we just focused on like the one thing.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing was, yeah, it's when we left that first meeting. I remember it's like a language for certain people. So for us, it was like we were speaking our language,
Yeah.
but sometimes people don't speak that same language, or it's foreign in the way we speak it. And I think about like the mother tongue. There might be the same language, but it's a different mother tongue.
Yeah.
And it's
That's a
like
good
we were
point.
speaking a completely different mother tongue in real
Yeah.
estate.
It's like we're connecting at all on it.
And so you walk away thinking it was simple. Like, no, of course, this is what we're looking at, and this is what we're doing. So I think then going into the next one, I think the thing that we even realized after this meeting just the other day with all these realtors was, even to that point when we dissected it down, it's still just constantly having to simplify it.
Yeah.
And it makes me think about really fast, like back in the retail days, they would say like, if you tell somebody to go and stock the soda machine and you expect them to put every variety of soda in there, they come back and they put all Cokes, and you get upset with them. And it's like, hey, you told me to stock the soda machine.
We're very
You
specific.
got
Yeah.
to be very, very
You gotta
specific. And
clearly
so,
communicate. That's power. That's good. That's good.
so, but yeah, I think it was really good. And yeah, I think just really, really dissecting it down even helps me to think like that's what we.
Yeah.
It's what we do. We look for
Well,
a very specific product.
and it's funny, what I kind of thought you were going to say in the retail world is, I hear this in marketing all the time, is a confused mind always says no.
That's very yeah.
So
That's,
if
that's
I'm going
true.
to present a
That's true.
partnership, but I'm confusing in the way that I'm presenting it, they're going to say no. If I'm asking for their money for like private money on a deal, but they're confused about how the deal's going to work, they're going to say no.
Right,
If
right.
I want any of their time, attention, effort, energy on something, but it's confusing what I'm conveying, they're going to say no.
Say no, no, no,
So
no, no.
I was thinking about this, and I always am coming up with like kind of interesting business ideas that I like. Oh, that'd be really cool. But like, how does this apply to your business? I don't necessarily want to like open up everything that we're doing on our business, specifically on the back end. But we have our one our one deal silo is basically around like minor land development. But to break down in a simple way what this process would look like is, let's say that you came out and you're like, you know what? I want to start a business and I want to sell cold things. That could go so many different directions. Like if you want to sell cold things, like
A lot of stuff.
so many different things you do now versus, so like, let's say there's two people that decide they want to sell cold things. Now one person just says, I'm going to go sell all the cold things that I can and do like all this custom stuff. And I'm going to do like coffee and ice cream and cold yogurt and like, ice sculptures and everything. And then you have somebody else over here. It's like, I actually want to focus in on ice cubes. And this actually goes to an interesting business idea.
Ice cubes.
So listen to this. It's actually,
I want one of those ice makers
So-
that sit on the road.
so like I want to sell ice, and then you break it down. You're like, I actually want to sell ice cubes because ice comes in all sorts of types of shapes. And then you break it down. You're like, okay, I want to sell 1-inch ice cubes because I think those fit in the glass really well. And on top of that, I want to sell 1-inch ice cubes made of purified, clean water because I think that the people consuming my ice are going to be interested in that.
Don't go to Cleveland.
But then on top of that, I want to do something that nobody's ever done before. So not only is it going to be made of purified water, but I'm actually going to add 3 drops of electrolytes into each ice cube. And so as you're drinking your water, not only are you getting rehydrated, and this is something that I know, like, not only are you getting rehydrated because of the water, but sometimes your body lacks the minerals to be able to absorb the nutrients from the water that it needs. So then you have those electrolytes in there, it keeps you even more hydrated, right? But now I have a very specific product type, but who am I going to market that to? So I could either market that really to like athletes, or, I could market that to, like when I thought about it, I was like anybody that does like physical activity. And so anybody in the physical activity bracket could be like athletes, or the other one was like manual labor. Because I think everybody markets electrolytes to athletes. So that's like a red ocean. Even like, electrolytes in the ice cubes might be kind of new, but every athlete's heard of all sorts of electrolytes. I'm going to market people in physical labor, right? So going down, I'm marketing people in manual labor. So I've got my notes like right over here because I don't want to forget like this exact thing. And I'll read this off. So then I go and I say, okay, now I know I want to sell 1-inch ice cubes made of purified water with 3 drops of electrolytes to people who work manual labor. And I want those people to be between the age of 25 and 30 who work in that manual labor construction field. So I've narrowed this down of what I'm going to sell. I went from cold things to a 1-inch ice cube made of purified water with 3 drops of electrolytes. And I've narrowed down my who am I going to sell to, which is men between the ages of 25 and 50 who work in manual labor construction. So now I have a very definite customer, and I have a very definite product. So now what am I going to do? I'm going to figure out where I'm going to market. So for me personally, this is actually the idea I've thought of before. I'm going to set up ice machines at Lowe's, Home Depot, and all those other ones. Because I've thought before, like, why does nobody ever set up the ice machines at like these Lowe's, Home Depot? Like, I know these guys are getting water and stuff. So my goal is I want to make 10 pounds. I want to make 10 cents per pound of ice. And on average, if my average bag of ice is 10 pounds, the average crew gets 1 pound of ice per day. And my market serves 10,000 crews per day. My market is up to 100,000 pounds. So if that makes sense, how that works, you have 10,000 crews buying 10 pounds of ice. So 10,000 times 10 is 100,000 pounds per day of ice. And I'm making 10 cents a pound. So I'm making $10,000 per day, assuming these guys work, most of them work 6-day work weeks. So you multiply the 6, you're making roughly $3 million a year. And that's just in like the market that I can serve right out of the gate. So that's all of a sudden a very defined business type that I could go to. I'm going to put these ice machines, Home Depots, Lowe's, other sort of like places where I know manual labor people are going to naturally congregate of this specific product that's going to add value to them in their life in some sort of specific way. And so it's a very specific idea versus I want to sell cold things. And you have this person over here on the other side who never like dug down into the idea. So now they're making like random custom things. Like I said, making an average, let's just say like $10 per thing. And let's say they sell like 120 of these things per week. So they make more per thing, right? They're making like $10 per thing, where I'm making 10 cents per thing, if that makes sense when you weigh that out. So they're making what, 100 times what I am, like per unit. But if you look at it, they can't serve near as many units as I can.
Right.
because I've created something that's scalable.
Right.
And so I can do more of this thing. But like, so that person who never dug down, they're only making like $60,000 a year theoretically, or somewhere in that, range with that model. And they're making custom popsicles, custom drinks, custom ice creams, ice sculpture, like I said, like all sorts of cool stuff. And maybe that's what you want to do. And if that's what you're passionate about, do it. But it's not a very scalable thing, right? And so you can't really hire anyone to like really help scale this. You can't pay for growth because you're only making like this limited amount. So like number one, you're doing something custom. It's not like really easily repeatable. Number two, you're not making enough to ever really be able to scale. So the steps, and this is cool because we've really gotten to do this over the last couple of weeks, or almost I guess 2 months or something now that we've been doing the podcast. Yeah. Number one, you have to accept that it's going to take time and iterations of this. How many different iterations have we gone through, like pivoting from day one of talking to where we're at right now, which we could say is similar, but like we pivoted quite a few times. I mean,
yeah, I mean, well, first off, I want to say like you started an ice business, and I'm gonna call you Iceman. Like, that's your name, but no, but what's funny about it is it's like sometimes even when we're started, we even said on here, and we were pretty open about it. Like we don't know 100% what direction, but we have an idea. And when it gets down to an idea, you start, and it goes back to exactly what I think about with Ice Cube. When we started, maybe it's considered you have all these cool products, you have all these cold type products, and for us, it's like we have all these land type products, or real estate
even
type
real
products.
estate type products,
But
right?
we knew kind of the avenue at what we wanted to do, and then obviously we're kind of at a point where I think we're really, really, really kind of fixated on what we want, what we want to look for. And then, even a couple things that we've started and had success with, I think we've even kind of said, hey, we're going to probably pivot from that and just kind of go all into this one.
Right.
But for the time being, this thing provided a value.
Right.
And it taught us some lessons
Sometimes,
also.
sometimes it shows you what you don't want to do.
Yeah. And so it's like, and then it becomes what's more efficient. So it's like, if let's say you built that stuff and you went and put 35 hours a week into building that one ice cube, but you put another 5 hours into building the custom whatever you mentioned. Maybe you get a sale from the 5 hours, but you could have gotten probably in comparison maybe 10 sales, if you would have just focused on the ice cube.
Right.
And so there's a philosophy out there that says don't put all your eggs in one basket. And for me, I think about multiple businesses. That's what's cool. But at the end of the day, I think your focus truly should be putting all your eggs in one basket, because you can go really, really, really aggressive and be really, really good at that one thing.
Well, and I think that's the value of like a deal silo, is like this deal silo is 100% focused on that product type.
Right.
We know what product, like for example, what we're doing, we've defined now what it is that we're creating with these minor land developments and who we want to serve, why we want to do that, what need in the market we're fulfilling. We've answered all these questions.
Right.
So the team and the products, the services, the pipeline, everything that's built for that deal silo is going to be dedicated to that deal silo. And one day, if we decide to create a second deal silo, we'll start from scratch and say, I mean, yeah, we still have like some team and capabilities to be able to use that scale, but still, it's going to be a completely segregated thing. So it's either in this bucket or it's in this bucket. And that's powerful. So then the next thing that you've really got to do is, like, once you've accepted that it's going to take time and iterations to figure this out, you have to figure out your who, your what, your when, and your where. So who are you going to be selling to? What are you going to be selling? When are you going to be selling it? And where are you going to be selling it? So that example with ice, right? I start off, I want to sell cold things. So that was the what. And I broke that down to specifically what it was going to be: ice cubes with, electrolytes made of purified water, right? So that was the what. The who was a man, the ages of 25 to 50, who work in construction. So that person who's going to want this product, I also have to figure out how to market to them. But where are they going to be that I'm going to be able to easiest serve them? Am I going to be able to sell to them online? Well, ice might be kind of a hard thing to sell online, right? But then that's where it like leads me to this place where I go, okay, well, Home Depot, Lowe's, my construction stores, like that's where they're going to be. And so, then in your own business or in our business, we had to figure out really that, really it was first we started with, okay, so here's kind of what we want to do because we knew this market need. who are going to be the people who are going to really buy that, where are we going to do that, right? And that was some really important questions for us. And another question though that I think is really powerful is your why. Having your why reason. Why are you doing what you're doing? Have you seen
Right.
the Simon Sinek TED Talk? Have I showed that to you?
I don't think so.
Okay, so guys, you should look up the Simon Sinek TED Talk, How Great Leaders Inspire Action. He talks about why, right? But it's this why reason that drives people to make a decision more than the technicality behind the what it can do or how it does it, but it's how is it going to improve my quality of life? What is it going, how is it going to change my life? How is this product going to revolutionize the way I'm living my life right now? The bigger picture behind it all. And then finally, and this is kind of the step fourth one, I want you to expand on this a little bit more of how powerful this is. But once you figure out all the steps, you have to be able to execute with purpose. Really take that fast and decisive action and embrace those pivots and iterations over time. But everything you do has to be purposeful.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think that's key, but I think it's also like one of those things that isn't necessarily clear and precise. Um, because I think you can get it, and I'm sure many of you guys who watch this or can relate. Sometimes we get caught into a cloud,
Mhm.
and it's like you're trying to do something, you may have purpose behind it, but then you let all those, and we talked about that last week with the storms, so it just kind of relates in that. You get caught up in the storm and you forget why you're doing it. You forget all these things. You let the fear hinder you. You let the discouragement hinder you. But at the end of the day, if you do it with purpose and you understand who it affects, it's going to work. And one thing that I mentioned, a couple days ago, and I've talked to you about it, and it was something this kind of a topic. I'm going through a book, the power of one more, and I've never looked at that RES thing. So this is great. You mentioned that was if you think about something genuinely what you're trying to do. So for instance, if I see well, I'll be open about it. We have a piece of land with the house that we bought, and immediately the day after, it might have been even that night after we got it contracted, immediately I started thinking, oh no, what if this goes wrong? What did we buy? Did we buy the wrong type of product? Did we buy, what did we do? Are we gonna, and it started to surround me. And then I thought, no, I had to kind of close my eyes, and I thought back to this book and what he was saying. It's Ed Milet. And he was saying this thing of saying, like, even if you just close your eyes and visually scratch off the list of what are the things that are discouraging you, like you have to almost visualize it,
Mm.
and you see through why you did it. The reason why we bought it and made fast and decisive action was because I had confidence somewhere within my mind, within my heart, within my purpose to say it's going to work,
Mm.
because I knew it. So if I think about that and I see it and I visualize it, what I do is I see and visualize that we're probably going to be able to split that up into three parcels.
Yeah.
Or and then I thought, well, at the minimum two. And then I'm even looking in my mind, like, what does that look like?
Yeah.
Where is that parcel split? What is the house going to sell for? What's our ARV? How much rehab? Who's going to go into it? Now all of a sudden I'm thinking about all of these people.
Mm.
So now my purpose becomes a visual aspect of, okay, this contractor is going to do it. Okay, great. Title company is going to close it on the front side. Okay, great. Okay, surveyor we're going to involve. That's going to pay them and help
Mm.
them and support their families. Great. Okay, who's mowing the lawn and who's doing it every like 2 weeks in this Texas weather? That's taking care of them because it's 10 acres. That's
Yeah.
a big job. Okay, great. Okay, fishing in the pond while we own
I
it
got
and
that one.
experience as you. But that all of these different things, when I think about purpose, I think about that's what it comes to. It's
Yeah.
not just a piece of property. It's not just this. It's just not that. It's now there's all of this purpose behind what you said. This is going to work.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I.
No, I mean, I think it makes a ton of sense because, like, well, and I think the thing is you really have to look of, did that property land within our offer bullseye? Like, is that inside of our deal silo,
Right,
what
right.
we want to buy? And it is. And so the thing is like, we're either really, really right about this deal silo being a profitable deal silo,
Right.
or we're really, really wrong, and we're about to find out. But I think the thing is like, if you've done the market research and you understand the space, it's just like even what we said. Like, and this is something interesting. I think it's a powerful point. When we buy these properties, we buy it as if we couldn't do any of our plans, if like nothing that we wanted to do worked out, and we just had to exit it for what it was,
Sure. Sure.
can we get out at least break even, but having learned something?
Right. Right.
And I think of like multiple business ventures that I've been a part of. Some of them have been way more profitable than others, but every one of them, I've come out on the other side learning a massive lesson, right? So even the person who just says, I'm going to go out there and just sell cold things, they're going to learn so much
about cool things.
about everything, right? And maybe through that, they find that they have a passion for carving ice sculptures. The next thing you know, that's where they put their whole business focus into, right? Because they just tried everything. Or maybe they have a passion. I mean, there's businesses where they just sell popsicles. There's business where they just sell ice cream, right? There's businesses where they have people just sell ice sculptures, right? Like people have dialed into something that they're passionate about. But I think that they took these steps, right? That understanding that there's gonna be times and iterations and development of this idea, but they really figured out the who, the what, the when, the where, what were they gonna sell, who were they gonna sell it to, but at the end of the day, also the why.
Right.
Because that's why they're in business for 5, 10, 20 years, because there's some why there, you know? And I think it's not only powerful to have a why behind your product, but a why behind why you do what you do, And I think that for anybody, if your why reason is, I just want to make money, once you start making, you're going to hit this point where you're kind of, satisfied with how much money you're making. And some people really get eager and aggressive, and that really helps to drive them. But I think for most, you'll hit this point where you're surviving, like you've gone past from surviving, you're thriving now, and all of a sudden you're looking for this why, going like, why do I do what I do?
Yeah, no.
And you just kind of like you hit this lull. And do you want to talk about that at all? Like the power of having a why, even for yourself, in what you're doing as somebody's defining their business and they're moving forward. I mean, what is the purpose behind it all? What's our why?
Yeah. I mean, I think that for me personally, it's thinking about not living up to my potential. Like, I think at the end of the day, if we were given, I mean, he's got a water bottle over here, and I think about that, and I think if that water bottle was completely full, and he knew he only needed to drink a sip of it, but in 10 hours, that water's going to go bad. Like, let's just say, I don't know why, but let's just say he's bad. And then he has an entire field out here of people that could use that water in 120-degree heat in Texas. Would it be better for him to go ahead and give that away, or what if he kept half of it? And that's the thing. Like, if you kept half of it, then half of it was unused when it could have served such a great purpose. So for me, the why is more about understanding that I do what I do because I want my potential to be fulfilled. I don't want, you've said something powerful many times where it's like, you want to know at the end of the day, you gave it your all.
Yeah.
And if you did, then you at least knew, even whether it's failed or success or whatnot, you can say you did what you gave what you were able to give.
Yeah.
And so I think that's my big why. And I think it's just understanding, you mentioned on the dollars. I brought this up before about us buying a small lot, like me late at night. And you would think like, okay, Nathan, you've done these bigger deals, and we're actually about to close with Ambition Group, the largest flip we've ever done.
Nice.
And it was a very smooth process. But why am I still going and looking for these small, little, tiny land deals? Well, the reason why is because it still supplies the need.
Yeah.
It may cover another guy coming in, because if I can do it, I believe that I can replicate that and teach that. So then you have another guy coming in, and it provides a job for him. So just like that water is that knowledge.
Right.
That water is something that can supply this guy a job, and he's able to excel and learn through it.
Right.
So
Well, and I think you have somebody who's selling.
Yeah.
You have somebody, and for me, like in real estate, you have somebody who's selling, right? And it takes a weight off. And we've all felt these weights in life at times where you just need to get something off your shoulders.
Sure.
So, like to be able to buy those products from people, we're helping to take that weight off. Then you have the people that you're employing. The 7 realtors that we just talked to. You got the guys in the office that that we get to work with, and all that stuff, and the jobs provided through that process. Like that's powerful. But then one of my favorite things is actually I love to see realtors where they're like standing with this really happy family, like, and they're holding the key or something like that. And it's like, oh, like so and so just got to close, whatever.
I remember those days.
And as realtors, like they're marketing themselves, and I get that. But to think about like I don't know, just all the happy memories that my family and I have gotten to make in our different homes. You know, I can think about like our last home where we brought our both of our daughters to that home for the first
Right.
time. We brought them home from the hospital. Like there's some extremely precious memories in that home. I think about this home. This is, you know, we had a dog pass away here. We got another puppy here. We got you know, we brought our son home in this home. We've created so many memories
Right.
in this home. My wife started up a rabbitry, something she's always wanted to do. Like all these different things that we got to do in this home. Like the home is so special. And so, you know, for me, even just talking to my parents the other day about a property that they bought, that actually Nathan sold him. And that was just a really cool deal that they got to fix up themselves. And it was it the way though that a home can impact people and impact families just to have a good home is I almost feel like it mirrors heaven in a way, like in some small way, like the
Yeah.
joy that someone has to walk into their new beautiful home
Right. Right.
is I there's something powerful there about a home.
So much. That's what I'm
Yeah,
saying. You got so much, and it's yeah. For everybody, it's going to be a little different, but it speaks to everybody in new
yeah,
ways. So
yeah. So, well, how are we applying, defining our offer and our product in our business this week? So, you want to talk about the meeting that we just had, how that went, and then like,
yeah.
I mean, that was a pretty big step in the business. Like, we haven't really talked about what's going on in the business in the last couple of weeks. Maybe a little recap.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just we're trying to provide an opportunity for people to do what they're really skilled at,
Hmm.
which, for a buyer's agent, they're really skilled. Well, not just buyer's agent, any agent. An agent's skilled at finding properties, locating properties, negotiating deals,
Right.
and so being able to supply that to find a very specific deal silo product type for what we're looking for, and we're looking for on the market type stuff,
Right.
just to go. We buy a ton of off market stuff. But for this specific deal silo, we want stuff on the market, and then being able to take that and get that, and then be able to add what we have in real estate, and it's in many industries. It's called a value add. So what are you going to add? How are you going to add value to that product? And the value add is what makes it intriguing. So
Right.
once again, just give an example. It's like we talked about that 10-acre product, and it's like, okay, right now this product's been this piece of land has been a house on 10 acres where probably most of the 10 acres has not been used.
Right.
So our value add is how can we turn this into a product for 3 different families?
Right.
So then it goes back to what you were saying. So
Yeah.
that's kind of what we're really focusing on and honing on is how do we take people in their profession, realtors, and yes, I'm a realtor as well, but I'm even like I think I told them one of the biggest things is me being treated as a buyer and a
Right.
seller. I'm no longer a realtor in that mindset.
Right.
I need to be able to be, hey, I'm a buyer looking for this product,
Right.
and their profession helps me get there and
Right.
is that avenue there. And so yeah, and then being able to do it on the backside to be able to use the professional surveyors, using all of these different pieces to the puzzle
Yeah.
to complete what our mission is.
That's good.
And so
That's good. That's good. Well, and it's been cool. So we had the first deal that we locked up under contract that's closed. So we closed our first deal
yeah, yes,
inside
we
of
did.
the
Yeah,
new venture, which is super. Actually, high five moment right there.
yeah.
We
Well
had a
done
deal
there.
fall through, which always sucks. But like even we have deals that fall through. It just kind of fizzled out, and it may come back. Probably no high five for that one, but it's okay. And then we got to have this meeting. We've contracted another property. We're working on contracting another. So I guess we've contracted a sec where we had the second one kind of fell through. So I guess we've contracted a third now that we have scheduled to close here soon. We've got another one. I guess it'd be number 4 that we're working on getting under
Going back
contract.
and forth with.
And now we've got 7 other people out there looking for these deals for us. So I expect that pipeline is going to start churning really quickly. So up to this point, we've been kind of grinding our gears, developing, what the idea is, developing the offer, figuring out these like kind of basic building blocks to get from 0 to 5 figures. We're going to cross that line here very quickly, I think. And then we're going to be on our way to 6 figures. And then all of a sudden, next thing you know, it's just going to be like just getting that flywheel going.
It's just creating the momentum,
Yeah.
and just doing something and replicating,
Yeah.
replicating it. So
Yeah.
that's
I'm super
gonna be
pumped
good.
about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any closing thoughts?
Closing thoughts. Iceman. It's just I wanted to. I thought about something and it came to me, and I think it's a good thing to close on. And it was from same thing from the Power of One More. He had mentioned this, and it's something about the why. But so much when he talked about his why for the ice cube, and when he said it's the electrolytes and it benefits these guys that are hardworking. The deeper meaning behind like some of those people could be: what if one of them had health issues and maybe they've had heart problems, or they've had things where basically hydration is so important to them.
Right.
Now, I don't know all the details from the science on that.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying there is deeper things for people that they need those things. So really, it could serve such a bigger why for the people on the other end, instead of just on us. So just thinking about that, it's not so much about our why. Even you also sometimes got to think about the other people's whys, and that will help motivate maybe your why.
Yeah. Well, and it's like there's the health, wealth, and relationships that drives almost every decision that we make. How does it improve one of those?
Right.
And that's actually what we're going to be talking about in a couple of weeks. That's one of the 3 videos. So it's good. It's good. So well, it's been awesome talking with you guys.
Yes.
Excited to give you guys a little bit of an update, talking about dialing in your offer. So this week, if you're listening to this, if you're in your business, trying to go from 0 to 5 figures, figure out exactly what your offer is, dial it in, and that's going to give you the focus and clarity you need to take some good steps forward. With that said, I'm Kendall, Nathan, the Wealthy Legacy Journey. We'll see you guys next week.
I'll see you on next week.